What's going on? Come on in. Hit that like button. Let me know where you guys are checking in from. Man, your boy is still out of it, man. I am messed up, man. I am sick, man. I cannot shake this, whatever it is. It ain't the C word, though. It's not the C word. It ain't the C word. Um, I don't know, man. I cannot shake it, but man, yeah, I wasn't gonna do a live. That's why I didn't post nothing until the last minute. But I said, let me just hop on here and do something that's easy, something I can talk about. That it's not easy. Well, it's easy for me to talk about, but that people can grasp easy. I didn't do a PowerPoint presentation. I tried to, but man, today is the first day of me even being in front of the computer since Thursday. So I tried to do a PowerPoint, but man, I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. So I said, let me talk about charging people because I had a few people hit me up about charging customers directly. Actually, I think Interstate Screw, I saw him put some in the comments. He's one of them. I had somebody else hit me up saying they got their hands on a contract delivering flowers, like flowers, not like delivering them to like if you order flowers for your wife, but like from the planetarium or wherever the plants come from wholesale to like another big plant place, whatever. But I know he hit me up. Then I had an actual furniture store hit me up that actually contracts out to ICs, and they wanted information on how to charge customers and how to pay people because they're thinking about doing their own thing. And then somebody else hit me up too, said they got a hold of a direct contract. Somebody else, one more person. So it's four people: Interstate Screw, the furniture store, the flower person. Was one more person that hit me up that got their hands on a direct contract. So I like looking at trends and seeing like this is a trend. And I'm like, man, people are finally doing the work. You know, they're finally putting in the effort, stuff that I've been telling y'all to do for the longest. So I'm like, well, why is this happening all of a sudden? What's going on? So I started thinking, when people are under pressure is when people perform the best. The work that people are doing now, that hard work, going out, trying to find things, and coming up on direct contracts where you're dealing directly with the company themselves, where you can contact me and be like, man, Mark, I got a line on something. I don't know what to charge. This is something that y'all should have been doing a long time ago. But nevertheless, you're doing it now. I know a lot of people are under a lot of pressure with the spot market, so it's forcing people to really do the work. So shout out to y'all for doing the work. So I said now is a good time to talk about how to charge, since everybody's hitting me up. Well, not everybody. The four people that hit me up, like, man, how do I charge? How do I charge? But now is a good time to talk about how do I charge. I think I seen somebody in the comments say, I guess you might be thinking I'm going to talk about how to get these direct contracts. I'm not going to be talking about that today because before you can contact these people and try to, propose your services to get something like this, you need to know what to charge them, because you can contact them and they may have interest right then and there, and then they might ask you a question right away like, man, well, how much you going to charge? And you're not going to have the answer. So you kind of need to know what to charge before you can go out and start, proposing your services. So come on in. I'm going to hit that like button. It's probably going to be a light night. I peeked in on Kirk's live earlier. I saw it was light for him, so it's probably just going to be a light day. I didn't promote mine. But come on, nonetheless, hit that like button. Let me know you guys are checking in from. Let's get this roll call going so I can get this show on the road, so I can go ahead and get in this bid. All right. Let's see what we got here. Canna Startup. What's going on? How you feeling? How's everybody doing tonight? Let me get rid of this banner here. I don't need that banner. Y'all know where to find me at. Shout out to Pippi in the building, Nick in the building. Shout out to all the MGMs in the building. Shout out to Serious Lanes in the building. My dude Mop New York in the bedroom. What? My dude Mop New York. I don't know what that means. I'm late on a check-in. What's going on, Mark? I'm in Wyoming. If I head to Illinois, I'm gonna hit you up. Definitely gonna come see the God if possible. Yeah, hit me up. Hit me up if you come through. Hopefully I'm feeling better by then. This feels like you make a lot of these videos personally for me because my son Thumbtack blowing up with people trying to move, and I've been trying to stay home too. Yeah, we're gonna talk a little bit about the move, and I'm gonna tell you how to price out the moves too. All right. Shout out to Atlanta in the building. Shout out to everybody that's watching on Facebook. Come on, y'all. Let me know where y'all checking in from. You said I might have the flu. I don't know. I don't feel weak. It's just, man, my throat scratchy and my nose, I ain't even been stopped up. It's just, man, my throat scratchy and I got like this nasal drip thing going on. I don't know. It's weird, but it ain't the C word. I tested twice, so it ain't that. I don't know what's going on. But you know what? I know what's going on. I know why I can't shake it. I know why I can't shake it because I can't sit still. I always got something to do or somewhere to be. So I haven't been able to take that day or two and just stay home. I've been having to go out, so I can't really build my resistance up. But that just goes back to what I always be saying when you want to be this entrepreneur and you want to be the man and you don't want to be the man standing next to the man standing next to the man. When you the man, you don't get, time for yourself. If things got to get done and you're the person that's got to make things happen, then you're the person that's got to make things happen. So even with business, with family, like I'm the go-to person. I'm the resourceful person. Even like with people I know, friends, relationships, old relationship, ex relationships. I'm just the person that a lot of people come to because I'm a resourceful person. So I just, it's hard for me to sit still, but tomorrow I think I'm gonna just have to sit my butt down and not do nothing and just not do nothing and just kind of build my resistance back up so I can be 100% in this weather. 86 degrees, 40 degrees the next day, 56, 7, 80 degrees Thursday, back down to 40 and snowing. Like, it's crazy, man. It's crazy. So come on and hit that like button. Denver in the building. Michael Perez, I appreciate you helping us out, Mark. Appreciate you for chiming in. Bruce Jr., California in the building. My dude Martin, New York is in the building. Oh, okay, that's what you meant. New York is in the building. All right, appreciate you for stepping in. All right, so no PowerPoint presentation tonight. So no visual, just going to be looking at me and listen to what I'm saying. So if you need to write your notes down, write them down. All right, let's start with the moving first because the moving is a little bit simpler. The final mile is simple too on how to price it out, but moving is a little bit simpler. All right. So let's talk about moving. How do you charge for moving if you're going to start a moving business? How would you charge? Okay, let's say you're starting a moving business. Let's start with a 16-foot box truck. You got a 16-foot box truck. It's you and you got one other person. Now, I kind of talked about this before and jibbles here, jibbles there, but we're going to just get to the nitty gritty. I'm going to break it down for you. It's really, really simple. You got a 16-foot box truck. Let's say you're starting with that. You're going to focus on anything from one item up to 2 bedrooms. All right. If you're a really good packer or you have a really good packer, you can pack a 2-bedroom apartment into a 16-foot box truck. But it does take some level of skill set, all right, to pack a 2-bedroom into a 16-foot box truck. So anything from one item up to a 2-bedroom, one item, a few items, dorm room, studio, 1-bedroom, convertible, junior 1-bedroom, 2-bedroom. All right. Well, this is how you would price it out. All right. 2 guys, you and your partner, right? If you're starting out and you're not skillful yet that you can charge a very high premium An easy number is $100 an hour. Okay, you can easily get $100 an hour nowadays in 2023 for two guys, right? Now, how would you pay your helper? Your helper would go somewhere between, now this depends on your market, all right? This depends on your market, the cost of living and how skillful this helper is to you. Helper can go anywhere from 18 on the low end, but let's say 20, all right? 20 to $30 an hour, all right? Now, this all depends on how helpful your skillful your helper is. So you can pay your helper somewhere from 20 to 30 because you're on the truck too, right? So you can charge $100 an hour, $20 to $30, all right, for your helper. Now, the truck, you charge for a truck fee. Now, there's a few different ways you can do this. All right, if you're starting out, I would suggest you just charge one flat truck fee. All right, if you're in a local metropolitan area where there's high density like Chicago, New York, LA, Atlanta, Houston, I would stick with $100 truck fee, something simple, right? Within the city. Now, as you get further out, your truck fee should increase depending on how far you got to travel out. So let's say if you live in Atlanta and the move is within the city of Atlanta, all right, 25-mile radius, let's say, one end of town to the other end of town, whatever the distance is, the radius and mileage for that city, you can keep it at $100. All right, you can keep it at $100. All right, my rate is a little bit higher, but when you're coming into the space, especially when you're running under the radar, because most moving companies start under the radar. That's just the way it is. Most moving companies don't start licensed. They start out hustling, doing gigs, learning the business, and then they transition in to a licensed moving company. All right. This is not the way, the state will want you to do it, or the federal government will want you to do it, right? Because this is a federally regulated industry. Moving is, it's state regulated and federally regulated. But if you read the history of the biggest moving companies, they all started the same way. Two Men in a Truck started with two cousins, I believe, and a pickup truck at the University of Michigan, I believe. I'm not sure. But the aunt or the mother of one of the cousins or the brothers, one of the two, I think it was brothers, mother rented them the truck, and they were just doing moves around the college campus, and then they went and got licensed, and then they started franchising to what you know today as Two Men in a Truck, which is a national franchise. All right. A lot of local moving companies from here that I know start that same way. Big moving companies start that same way. All right. So I would charge $100 an hour with a 2-hour minimum. Make sure you charge a 2-hour minimum. Some companies charge a 3-hour minimum. I think starting out a 2-hour minimum is good, because if you do get one of those small jobs and it only takes an hour and 15, hour and 20 minutes, you want to make it worth your while. All right. So if you're charging $100 an hour, 2-hour minimum, that's $200, plus the $100 truck fee, that's $300. Now let's talk about materials. I don't think you should charge for materials when you first getting started out. You gotta have some type of marketing, plan to get your company out there, to get you that word of mouth going. Moving is a big word of mouth business. Big word of mouth business. When people find a mover that they can trust, that's good, that doesn't damage anything, that doesn't steal, they refer you to all their family, they refer you to all their friends, and they will use you consistently throughout the years. There's people that move every single year. I've had customers that have moved every single year since I've been in business. I have a customer that moved 7 times in 1 year. I kid you not. This lady moved 7 times in 1 year. So moving is a business where, a lot of your new customers will come via word of mouth. So it's very important that you do a good job. A lot of word of mouth customers with moving. Moving is a referral-based business, highly due to trust in many facets, right? Trust as far as coming into the home, not damaging anything. Trust as far as coming into the home, not stealing anything. Trust as far as coming into the home, not seducing someone's wife with your eyes, not looking at somebody's daughter and things of that nature. Moving is a very personal business because you're dealing with people's personal belongings. Some of these personal belongings may be of high value. Some of these personal belongings may be heirlooms. So it's a very personal business where people rather use a company that is referred to them by a family, friend, or a loved one. All right, because now they can, moving is very stressful. It's very stressful. There's a lot of horror stories. With moving companies, a lot of moving companies. If you go on Yelp, I'm giving you inside secrets now. A lot of moving companies that you see with 5 stars, those big companies that do thousands of moves, it's a reason why their moves are their ratings are 4 and 5 stars because they pay to have the 1 stars removed. They offer $250. I know the ones here. I'm speaking for the ones here. They'll give you a $250 gift card to a steakhouse to change your 1-star move. All right, because moving is similar to Final Mile. It's a very liability driven business, and there's no way a company is doing hundreds of moves in a summer, thousands of moves for the larger ones, and able to maintain a 5-star. It's just nobody is that perfect. Nobody is that perfect. So the reason why a lot of people like to go word of mouth is because of that reason. It's hard to trust movers. You got moving companies that are rogue movers, that are licensed movers that'll up the price on you midway through the move, and then if you refuse to pay them, they'll drive off with your stuff and put it in storage and charge you an exorbitant rate to get your stuff back. We call that in the industry. We call that we call them rogue movers. But that's holding people's stuff hostage. We call it holding people's goods hostage, and that's one of the main reasons why the moving industry is federally regulated and state regulated for things like that. All right, so getting back to charging. So now let's talk about, I told you about the rate, the hourly rate. I told you about the truck fee. Now you can increase your rates as you become more skilled, as you feel like you're worth more money. You can increase your rates. All right, the going rate for a premium company now for 2 guys, you're looking at somewhere between $125 to $150 an hour. 2 men in a truck right now are charging $100 an hour per man. So 3 guys, if you send out a 3-man team with 2 men in a truck, you're looking at $300 an hour. All right. So as you become more skillful, you can go up on the price. Truck fee as well. So going outside of the city limits, once you start going outside of the city limits, you can up your truck fee. So as we go outside the city limits, depending on how far we go out, I said it like in 10-mile radiuses, and every 10 miles is $25 additional. All right. Out of state moves are different. Long distance moves are different. I'll talk about that in a minute. Let me finish this. All right. So 2 guys, $100 an hour. If you're going to do 3 guys, I would charge $125 an hour starting out. I would charge $125 an hour starting out, and I would increase that up to $150 maybe after the first year. Materials. Offer materials for free. All right. Shrink wrap. You can get a case of shrink wrap for about $68-$70, right? 4 rolls come in each case. All right. You could get a case of tape. I would recommend you getting a 55 by 110 moving tape. The tan. You can get the tan or the clear. I recommend the tan. It really doesn't matter, but we use the tan. I recommend getting the 55 by 110 because it lasts longer. You get more for your money. Make sure it's moving tape, and make sure you buy it from either CDS or New Haven or any moving any moving company, any moving supply company. Y'all got to work with me now. I'm not feeling good. All right. So any moving supply company, CDS or New Haven. All right. Don't order that stuff off of Amazon. Don't go into, Walmart, because that's not moving tape. All right. It's packing tape and it's shipping tape. Even if you get the tan shipping tape, It's not like the tape that you get from the moving supply house, because what happens is when you put that tape on furniture, it has this sticky residue that's left on the furniture, or the tape sticks to the furniture, or it peels off the finish. All right, high quality moving tape, you can put it directly on furniture and it doesn't leave residue, it doesn't peel off the finish, and it's strong. It's extremely strong. All right, so make sure you purchase it. It does cost, you know what I'm saying? It does cost, but you're in business to make money, and you have to have the right equipment and the right materials to get the job done efficient. All right, so the reason why I say don't charge, because you're actually charging the customer for this stuff in a truck fee. All right, so it's all about the marketing, but you're also trying to build up your clientele as well. So you have to have something that you're giving the customer for free so that you can win these bids. Because what happens is most customers that are looking for movers, they're calling a couple companies, right? Most of them are going to want the best rate. They're going to look at the reviews, but you got to remember, you don't have any reviews because you're starting out. So you have to offer them something for free. So you just want to be mindful of how you use your materials. All right, your moving blankets and your pads you're going to utilize. Your shrink wrap is going to cost you the most. Your moving blankets, you're going to use that over and over and over and over again. Once you buy your moving blankets, the only cost that you're going to obtain from your moving blankets is washing them. Whenever your wash period is, you're going to wash them, right? But these blankets you're using over and over and over again. So tape is a lot cheaper than shrink wrap. So just real quick, certain items you can wrap with a moving blanket and you don't have to throw shrink wrap on it. You could just hit it with the tape. So let's say you take a chest, a 5-drawer chest. Once you throw that blanket over there, you're going to take that moving tape, you're going to wrap it at the top, you're going to wrap it in the middle real tight, and you're going to wrap it at the bottom all the way around. You have a blanket laid out, you're going to pull that blanket up. So you got the top wrap, now you're going to pull up the blanket that you got the chest set on. You're going to pull that up, and you're going to do the same thing going all the way up. Now that chest is wrapped like a cocoon. You can go ahead and put shrink wrap around it if you want, but that tape will hold it. You know what I'm saying? That tape will hold it. If customers are paying for the shrink wrap, paying for the tape, when you get to that point, then you want to go crazy with your materials. You want to go crazy with it because they're paying for it. All right, they're paying for it on a 20% markup. So you could go crazy with it and try to use as much materials as possible. All right, that's the inside moving secret. You know, a lot of moving companies offer incentives to their movers. You know, if you sell a certain amount of supplies on a move, they'll cut you in on a percentage. That's why when you see certain moving companies come out and move people, you're like, man, they went crazy with the shrink wrap, but they went crazy with the tape, because they're trying to use up as much of it as possible because the customers are paying this. Sometimes you'll see a move that the materials was damn near as much on the move as the labor. All right, so another inside secret. Now, if you're starting with moving, I would stick to just 3 guys. I wouldn't try to take any 4-man moves, 5-man moves. I would stick to the smaller moves for the 100 an hour for the 2 guys, 125 an hour for the 3 guys, $100 an hour if you're in the city. As you go outside to the suburbs, you want to set a radius. Every 10 miles outside the city, I'm going to charge an extra 25. 20 miles, another 25, extra 50. So if I'm going 50 miles outside the city limits, right, to do a move, then my truck fee would be 150, let's say. Now, where's that move going? If we're going 50 miles outside the city to a suburb that's 20, 30 miles out, let's say, where are they going? Are they going another 20, 30 miles out, or are they coming back to the city? So you need to determine all of that on how you're going to charge your customers for the move. All right. How many people we got in here? Bait and switch. Moving Company Hustle says bait and switch. Are you saying that? Well, I don't know. I haven't been paying. You said spitting facts. Oh, you talking about bait and switch when I'm talking about the companies? Yeah, bait and switch. So they'll sell you on one thing, and then halfway through the move, once the truck gets loaded, they'll say, "Oh, well, this was a long carry, so we got to charge you an extra whatever the company charges." Some companies charge you a long carry fee if, like, the let's say the truck is parked 75 feet away from the door. right? They'll charge you a long carry fee. But they don't tell you that at the beginning. They're supposed to come out and tell you all that stuff when the person comes out and does the estimate. They're supposed to let you know, hey, listen, you live on a tight block, so I don't know where we're going to park the truck. But if the truck gets here that day and it has to park so, then we're going to have to charge you a long carry fee. Or when they come out that day to do your move, they should let you know things like this before they start to move. But some companies will upsell you after the truck gets loaded. And these are tactics that the company teaches the employees to do, because a lot of the time the employees get incentives for increasing the rate of a move. All right. They get the kickback. All right. So, and once the truck is loaded, most customers just go for it because it's like you really have no other choice. So they're holding your stuff hostage. It's like a bait and switch, like he said, they're holding it hostage. There are cases where the customer just nah, I'm gonna call the police or whatever. The truck drives off, they throw it in storage. So now they're charging for storage. So you got to be careful. All right, so real quick, that's how I think you guys should start with your moving company, whether it's on Thumbtack, TaskRabbit, Hire Helper, whatever. Real quick, if you don't have a truck, because somebody asked me this too, if you don't have a truck, let's say you go on the U-Haul moving helper.com, you can still charge $100 and some an hour for your labor. All right. Just because you don't have a truck, your labor is your labor. Your labor is your labor. So if you're running a moving company and you're charging $50 a man, right? So that's $100 a person, has a 1-bedroom, first floor to first floor. They request 2 guys. You charge $50 a man. You're paying the movers, let's say $25 an hour. The company's getting $25 an hour off the labor. That's $100 an hour to the customer, right? That's how you need to determine how you're going to charge. Are you going to charge? You need to determine how much you're going to charge per man. All right. So if you're wondering how I came up with that number, $100 an hour, once again, forgive me. I'm not feeling good and I don't have none of this written down or my PowerPoint like I normally do. So I'm going all this off the head. So bear with me. If you're wondering how I came up with that number to start off with $100 an hour, that's at $50 a man. All right. As you become better and better and better, you can charge more per man, right? Because eventually you're going to have to pay your laborer higher. So you're going to have to increase that, right? Like I said, right now, I always use 2 men in a truck to use it as like a measuring tool to know what the going industry rate is. The industry rate has gone up significantly since COVID, right? Because the cost of labor is a lot higher now. So two men in a truck right now are charging $100 an hour per man. All right, you're paying $100 an hour per man. And if you want to know how I know this, because I'm a smart businessman, I call and get a quote. I always call every moving season. At the beginning of the moving season, I call moving companies to get quotes. All right. They don't know that I'm another moving company. All right. I call to get quotes. Right. I do my competitive analysis to see what people are charging, because if I can charge more money and ultimately give raises, then that's what I'm going to do. But I'm also going to keep the rate competitive as well. I'm never going to charge as much as 2 men in the truck. Why? Because they're 2 men in the truck. And I want to beat their bid, right? I want to beat their bid because people know 2 men in the truck. They don't know your company or they don't know my company. You see what I'm saying? Everybody knows 2 men in the truck because they spend millions and millions and millions of dollars a year on marketing. All right. So that's how you do your competitive analysis for moving. I just gave you the sauce on what you need to do to get started on the apps. And once again, if you're labor only, you could still charge the labor rate, $100 an hour, $125 an hour, whatever you're charging per man. You don't have to reduce that because you don't have a truck. Labor is labor, truck is truck, materials are materials. It's 3 separate costs. So never, don't undercut your labor. All right. All right. So let's talk real quick about long distance moves. All right. Long distance moves. For you guys starting out that have been asking me, I'm not going to get really detailed into weight, because once you become a big boy and you get licensed and stuff, then we do it by the weight. We'll go out and it's just a skill set that you gain from doing estimates over the years, and it's going to be a little bit over your head. A lot of you guys are looking to do this as a hustle for right now with your truck to make money. Because the smart market or whatever, or you just want to flirt with the moving industry. So I'm going to tell you the easy way to quote a long distance move. All right. Let's say you're moving somebody from Chicago to, let's say, make it an easy one. Let's say Chicago to, let's make it an easy one. I want to make it easy for an example, but I don't want to make it too easy. Let's say Chicago to Atlanta. Chicago to Atlanta. It's a 1-bedroom. It's about a 12-hour drive. You can get it done in a 16-foot truck. It's a 1-bedroom, right? So first floor, when it gets to Atlanta, is going to an elevator building. It's a first floor in Chicago. All right, it's a 16-foot truck. Now, let's say you own your 16-foot truck and you want to run this run. All right, so you go out, you take a look. All right, so typical 1-bedroom, first floor. You're gonna do 2 guys. All right. Now, there's some things that you got to remember that you got to do when you're going on a long distance move. All right. And there's 2 ways you could do this. You could do the full move, you and your guy from Chicago to Atlanta, or you can do the move on this end, load it up, drive to Atlanta yourself, cut the cost of your guy, because if you take your guy over the road, you got to put him in a hotel and you got to pay his per diem. For those of you who don't know what a per diem is you got to pay for their food. Anytime you are running a business and you have an employee, somebody that's on a W-2, right? On a W-2, not a contractor, but a W-2, and you send them on a job outside of their home market, by law, you have to feed them. It's called a per diem. All right, you have to give them a per diem. Right now, per diem is about, on average, about $50 a day. Okay, about $50 a day. So you're going to have to feed this person. All right. Now, if you want to leave him behind and just pay him for the loadout, you drive it yourself. You can also hire another company on the receiving end to do the unload, right? So it's up to you when you're doing your original estimate to see where you're saving money at, because ultimately you want to save the customer money too, because a long distance move is expensive and you want to try to get the bid, right? So this is how I would do it. One, you got to figure out how much it's going to cost you. All right, are you renting a truck or do you own a truck, right? So how much is the truck going to cost you, right? 2, you need to go on Fuel Buddy or a fuel cost calculator and see how much it's going to cost you in fuel to run that, right? How much is it going to cost you in fuel to run that? 2, you want to add your labor. What do you charge for labor? All right, you charge $100 for 2 guys for labor. So you need to estimate, because the thing with doing a long distance move versus a local move is a long distance move, you can't charge them by the hour. It's a flat rate. So you have to get this right, because you don't want to overbid yourself and bid yourself out of the job, but you also don't want to underbid yourself and be running cross country and losing money. So you need to know what you're doing, right? So you need to know how much it's going to cost you. Look, man, we going in here. Look, okay, so first was 1 bedroom. All right, we can load this up in 2 hours, right? You know it's going to take you 12 hours to drive there. In a truck, add another 2 hours. Let's say 14 hours, right? You're flying under the radar anyway because you're not licensed. You guys are talking about hustling. You're not licensed, right? So you flying under the radar. You're in a rental truck or whatever. So let's say 14 hours there, 2 hours to load. So you're at about 16 hours. When you get there, it's an elevator building. Let me give you a little secret on elevator buildings. A lot of people that aren't in the moving business think elevator buildings are quicker than walk-ups. You're wrong. Elevator buildings take longer than walk-ups. Elevator buildings take longer than walk-ups. Well, Mark, how does the elevator building take longer than a walk-up? Because with an elevator building, you're touching the item more than one time. See, with a walk-up, when you're going either from the truck or into the apartment, or let's say you're moving out of the apartment to the truck, you're only touching the item one time. With an elevator move, you're moving the stuff out of the truck into the elevator. You got to load the elevator. Once the elevator is full on this ride up, you go up 20 flights or whatever floor they're on, then you got to unload the elevator. Doesn't mean their apartment is right next door to the elevator or right across from the elevator. Some of these apartment buildings, you may have to go down a long hallway, then turn and go down another hallway, and then their apartment is all the way at the end in the corner. So now you got a long carry. Yeah, you got your dollies and your four wheelers and stuff, but still that's time consuming. And once you unload the elevator, you got to walk back, go down 20 flights. The dock where the truck may be, it may be a walk from where the truck is parked on the dock to where the freight elevator is at. So then you got to load the elevator again, go up and go through the whole process again. You might have to do that 4 or 5 times, right? These are things that you need to know when you're pricing out a move on a flat rate. So for a 1 bedroom, a 1 bedroom, when you're wrapping everything, loading the truck, first floor, 2 hours in and out, right? But for an elevator, you probably want to add another 2 hours on top of that. Especially if you're a novice, it can get done quicker, but it's a one-way move, so you can kind of, add a little sauce on top if you want, all right? So I would add 4 hours for the unload, right? So let's say it's going to take you 14 hours for the drive, 2 hours for the load, right? At 16 hours, 4 hours I will put for the unload. That's putting you at 20 hours, right? So let's do it like this. You got a one-way move going from Chicago to Atlanta. You're going to charge $100 an hour times 20 hours. That's $2,000, right? Let's say I'm just doing estimates. I haven't done this, but let's say once you went on fuel cost calculator, you're running a 16-foot box truck. It's a 2022 GMC Savannah box truck cutaway. It gets 9 miles a gallon. And let's say you got to go whatever, Chicago to Atlanta, let's say 600 miles, whatever. I'm making up numbers, but once you put it in the fuel cost calculator, you see it's going to cost you about 3 fill-ups down there, all right? So let's say 3 fill-ups down there. So let's say 150 times 3. Let's say 450 down there, right? And let's say you got to come back. So let's say 450 back. All right. Now we got to add your labor costs, right? Now, how are you going to pay your worker? You got to pay him a flat fee, right? So you're going to pay him a flat fee, but we already charged her the 24 hours to go there. But guess what? A long distance move, you get paid for the round trip. That's included into your cost. You don't consume the charges coming back. All right. In most cases, when you become tenured, you'll be able to find a move coming back. But sometimes you may have to deadhead back, but it's moving. You can charge the customer directly for your travel back without a load. All right. So let's say I'm not adding in tolls and all that stuff right now. I'm just giving you guys the gist of it. All right. Because I want to get out of here. All right. So $2,900 to go down there. Now, let's say it's going to take you 14 hours to get back. Right. So let's say 14 hours. We're going to say 24 hours plus another 14 to get back, right? Plus another 14 to get back, drive back, right? Plus, you just want to add a little sauce for, miscellaneous time that you may spend because you're going to have to spend the night, right? So this is a spend the night, so you got to pay for the hotel. And you could charge the customer for 2 separate hotel rooms. So let's say the hotel rooms are $200 a piece. All right. Now, let's say you can sleep at the Red Roof Inn. So $150 a piece, right? So you're going to charge the customer for 2 hotel rooms. Per diem is going to be $50 a day, right? So this is a 2-day swing move. So that means you get the 50, your helper gets the 50. So that's $100 a day, both days for per diem, right? So that's $200 for per diem. You got $300 for your hotel room, right? Plus you got another 14 hours drive back. So what you're going to do is you're going to do 2 hours to load plus 4 hours to unload plus 14 hours to drive plus 14 hour back. So you're going to charge them for 34 hours. So that's going to put you at $3,400. You're going to charge them another $150 for your room, another $150 for your partner's room. You're going to charge them another $100 for you per diem, another $100 for them per diem. If there's tolls, you want to add the tolls. You want to add the fuel. Fuel came out to $900 round trip. plus $900. So right now we're at $4,800, right? When it comes up to $4,800, you could just say 5,000. I'm trying to think. If tolls are in there, you add for tolls. What else? Materials, you can add for materials, but if you're hustling, you want to kind of do it like I say, like if you're working on Thumbtack, just give them the materials. They're already paying a premium anyway. All right, they're paying a premium anyway, because after you take away your labor, let's say you could give your laborer $500 for this run. After you take away your fuel, your tolls, your hotel, you're gonna walk away with about, let's see, 1 times 34 minus, let me see, you pay him 20 times 34, 680, so 34 minus 680. You're gonna walk away with over $2,000 to your pocket, because the customer's paying for everything. Even if you rent the truck, let's say you don't got your own truck, you rent a truck. Let's say you rent a truck, you add that to the cost. So basically, when you're doing a long distance move, you're charging the customer for every single thing, everything, even on the way back, even when you're coming back with nothing, you're charging the customer for that time coming back. All right. Rent a U-Haul and fly back. Okay, so that was my next thing. That other alternative that I said, where let's say you load the truck up on the one end and you drive on the other end, there's something that you could do like a moving company Hustle is talking about. I've done this too plenty of time, because you have a lot of customers that just can't afford to pay a premium long distance rate. So this is what we call flying under the radar, right? Even if you're a licensed moving company, you could do a fly under the radar. I did a move like this myself in 2019. We were really booked, so I had to drive the truck back. So what happened was, and you could do it the same way. We moved this lady to Portland like 2 or 3 years prior for a job. She didn't like the job. She called us to move her back. So she entrusted me, because we moved her to Portland, right? So she hired my company to do the move back. So instead of me sending a truck out there, right, which would have cost a lot more money to her, this is what I did. We rented a one-way Penske truck in Portland, right? I flew out there on the day of the move. I sourced another company, a licensed moving company out there. I flew out there the night before. That morning, I picked up the truck. I picked up the trailer because I had to pull her Jeep back. I got to her place. I had the moving company meet me at the place. I had them load everything up. I stood there and supervised it. Once they loaded it up, I paid them, and I drove the truck back to Chicago. It took me 3 days back. It took me 3 days to get back. All right, so I flew out there. Now, on the flip coin, let's say you're moving somebody from Chicago to Atlanta. You can cut a lot of costs by renting a truck from U-Haul, incorporating that into the fee that you're charging the customer, doing the move, having your team load the truck up in the home market. You drive the truck one way, right? Hire a company on the other end, right? Off a Thumbtack or a licensed company to unload it, right? Drop the truck off, fly back. Like he's saying, most of the time, this is going to be the cheapest alternative, right? And you'll be able to win the bid because you'll be able to bid a lot lower this route, all right, versus driving the truck back deadhead. A one-way flight is going to always be cheaper than driving a 16-footer or a 26-footer halfway back across the country. All right. But with that, it's just going to take a little bit more, I wouldn't say time, just connecting the dots, because you're going to have to do research on companies in that other market and schedule things with them so they can meet you and either help assist you unload the truck or hire them to unload it. Or you can just hire somebody off TaskRabbit. If you want to really save money and put more money in your pocket, then you just hire somebody off TaskRabbit. You drive the truck in, you hire somebody off TaskRabbit to help you unload the truck, and you just pay one person. You can save money that way too, and drop the truck off at U-Haul and fly back. So it's a lot of ways you can make money in the moving industry doing long distance moves. And this is the time that, for everybody that's asking me, that you need to be doing it. This is moving season. This is the season where you can make a whole bunch of money. So if you have any questions on how to set up your moving stuff on Thumbtack, just hit me up and let me know. You know what to do if you need strategy. Some of this might seem a little bit confusing to some of you guys, but if you're really interested, because people have been hitting me up about moving strategy, then you got to hit me up. You got to book a session, and then we can walk through it. All right. Let's get to the final mount, because this is where I got all these guys that are getting flower contracts and Interstate Screw email. He got a contract on the line. Let me see this email. Interstate Screw said a wholesale company. I ain't gonna name the company because I ain't gonna give up his contact. Hold on, let's just see. Oh, this is for flowers too. So I got 2 people hit me up for flowers. For wholesale flowers, I guess delivering the flowers wholesale to floral shops, and then obviously the floral shops sell to the consumers. So what most floral shops do is they buy flowers wholesale from I don't know what the floral wholesalers are called, whatever. But they buy flowers, and those flowers usually come in every single day. Every single day, flowers come in from the flower wholesalers to your local florist, where you would go in and buy flowers for your mom for Mother's Day, so on and so forth. So I had 2 people hit me up because this is the season for that. At a furniture store hit me up, and somebody else hit me up, I forgot. All right, so this is how you price this out. For local, I'm not going to talk about long distance final mile. Let's stick to local final mile. All right, it's 2 things you need to worry about. This is not like middle mile. Don't worry about your cost per mile. Once again, do not worry about your cost per mile when you're dealing with final mile in this manner. This is all percentage based. This is percentage based. All right. There's 2 main things you need to know. One is how much it's going to cost you to run it. All right. So in order to determine what you can charge a person to do deliveries for them directly, you need to know how much it's going to cost you. All right. And the 2 main components that you need to figure out is, one, how much the labor is going to cost you, and how much the fuel is going to cost you. All right. Now, if it's a real condensed route, then you can damn near not even worry about fuel. All right. If it's in the city, let's say within city limits, man, the most you may spend is $50 a day. If it's a really, really tight route. So let's stick with that. If it's a tight route, the average you're going to spend is somewhere between $50 to $75 a day, depending on the truck, right? Labor, this is how you're going to pay your labor. You can pay by the hour, but the easiest way is to pay by the stop, because you don't, things are going to arise. Eventually things are going to arise. And if something arises while that time is wasting away, that guy is still getting paid, and those stops may not be getting complete. All right. There's going to be days where, your driver is going to get stops done very quickly. All right. It's going to be days where it's going to take them a little bit longer. It's going to be days where there's going to be obstacles. But if you pay them by the stop, when you win, the driver wins. The only thing that the driver is going to lose on, if the stops as long as the stops getting done, the driver is getting paid. It's just sometimes it may take more time, and time is money. And that's when you're going to hear the driver complaining, like, oh man, I've been out 12 hours and I only made this much today. I'm normally done in 8 hours. It's 4 hours. Then they're going to start adding the 4 hours up and dividing it by how much the stops were and complaining. So pay them by the stop. All right. So now once you determine how much the fuel is going to cost and what you can pay your person, all right, and you got to know all this based on what you're delivering, how many stops they're telling you. So basically, if you go in, they're going to be like, look, we need you to deliver these flowers. We're averaging about 10 stops a day, 10 to 12 stops a day. And this is the route. Okay, the route is within 25-mile radius. Boom. So if it's 10 stops a day, you already know, let's say if it's furniture, man, you're charging $100 a stop. It's that simple, $100 a stop. All right, so if it's furniture, you charge $100 a stop, right? You're going to pay your guys, you're going to pay your driver $25 a stop. You're going to pay your helper $20 a stop. That's going to put your driver at $250. It's going to put your helper at $200 a day. They're straight. All right, that's going to put you at $450 a day. Remember, I always say 50% of final mile when you're delivering furniture is going to be your payroll. 50%, right? If it's a 25 to 50 mile radius local to deliver furniture, because remember, if you get a direct contract with a local mom and pop furniture store, it's a local mom and pop furniture store, which means people in the neighborhood are coming to that furniture store. It's a neighborhood furniture store. So you're not going that far out. You may have sometimes where you may have to go to a neighboring suburb, but for the most part, if it's a mom and pop furniture store, it's people in the neighborhood that are coming there to buy. I've done runs from mom and pop furniture stores before. Little stores in the hood, like Arab owned furniture stores. Sometimes their truck gets broke down. They would call and ask, could we run, their routes for like the week or two? Because most of the time they have their own truck. But if their truck broke down, then we'll come run their route for a week or two until they got their truck fixed, right? And I kid you not, this was a furniture store that was right around the corner from my warehouse. All the stops were in the same area. These guys, they had volume, right? But everybody in the area was buying the furniture. So the truck wasn't even burning no fuel. But at the end of the day, I'm still getting $100 a stop. Same thing with the powder coating contract. This is a direct contract I've had with this company that does powder coating patio furniture, right? Wrought iron patio furniture. When people buy wrought iron patio furniture, it's very expensive, and as it wears due to the weather conditions over the years, they don't just go buy new wrought iron patio furniture. They send it to the powder coating place, right? The powder coating place strips it down. They powder coat it back another color or black, and we deliver it to them. So since this is the direct contact, right, I charge $100 for the pickup and I charge $100 for the delivery. So each customer is paying both coming and going $100 a stop. So when the powder coating company says, all right, Wednesday, we need you to go do 10 pickups, that customer is paying them direct and they're cutting us the check. So for those 10 pickups, we charge $100 for those 10 pickups. We charge $100 to pick the stuff up and bring it back to the powder coating place, right? And then let's say the next day, all the stuff that we picked up the previous week or 2 weeks, however long the turnover rate is, they have 10 to 15 stops for us to drop off. So these drop-offs are pickups that we picked up weeks prior. Charge $100 a stop to drop them back off. All right. Now that particular contract is not in the same area, but because the powder coating company provides us volume on a weekly basis, we're able to save them money because they're a repeat customer. You know what I'm saying? So we're not going to say, well, this stop is way up in Lake Forest, which is far outside. It's one of those suburbs that like an hour and 20 minutes outside Chicago. But I can't say, this ain't in the city, so we got to charge you $130 for this stop. No, I can't do that. $100 whether it's in the city, $100 where it's in the suburbs, $100 where it's damn near up by the Wisconsin border, because we're doing volume. We're doing volume. So I have to keep this customer happy because I'm still making on this route. I own my trucks. All right? So I'm making 50% margin on every single stop. 50%. All right. So I ain't really tripping on no fuel or nothing like that. I don't really care. You know what I'm saying? Because you're making $100 a stop. You're making it in volume. So that's how you want to do furniture. Now, flowers is different. I had a flower contract where we were picking up flowers. And the reason why flowers are different, I know one guy, Interstate Screw, if you're watching, I don't know if your floral contract is local, but the other guy that hit me up that's running the flower contract, his is over the road. He's going 250 miles out. But I want to talk about local. Flowers are a little different. I did a flower contract with a flower company here for some time. And the reason why flowers are different is because the margins in the flower business are very, very low. They're very, very low. So contractors and vendors, florists don't like to spend that much money on vendors and contractors because their margins are already low as it is. Even when you look at the flower delivery business, like if you call 1-800-Flowers Unlimited or whatever the number is, typical flower delivery is very, very, very inexpensive. Even if they offer it for free, that delivery is built into, the cost of the arrangement, and it's still very, very, very low. We've done wholesale flower delivery to the florists, and I've also tried my hand at in the past doing flower delivery as a contract. Back when I had a van, and we would only get my company would only get like $3 or $4 a delivery, right? Which I took a loss on, right? Because I was paying my driver who was running that contract for me a lot more. But it was an experiment for me. It was an experiment for me that I was paying at a loss purposely to kind of learn that industry. That's why I can talk to you about it now, as far as the margins are concerned on the business delivery to consumer end. Now, the business to business end, the margins are going to be low. You can't charge $100 a stop to pick up wholesale flowers from the wholesaler, right, where they grow the flowers at, to deliver to the actual local florist. You're not gonna be able to get $100 a stop on that. And to be honest with you, I really can't even give you a number on that because that's all gonna be determined by your market. That is a market to market type of thing. You know what I'm saying? So here, you're looking at about $33 a stop. About 33, somewhere between $30 to $40 a stop. All right. It's a one-man job. All right. The boxes, the flowers are going to be in boxes. So Interstate Screw, if you're listening, the flowers are going to be in boxes. You're just pretty much using your not your pallet jack, but your two-wheel dolly or your mag liner if you have one, preferably a mag liner. Your lift gate, you really don't even need your lift gate. All right. You really don't even need your lift gate. You can push those boxes to the back of the truck and just grab them off the back of the truck and put them on your two-wheeler. That's about the best you're going to get. It's about $30 to $40 a stop. You can push your luck for $50, but I think you're in Detroit. I don't think you're going to get $50, bro. So I know you asked me in the email. I would try to get $40 a stop. If you can get 10 to 20 stops a day, you're making money. Even at 10 stops, you're making $400. You're not really dealing with no weight. It's not excruciating lifting. It's really easy work as long as your route is condensed. It's about $40 a stop. You said it's both local and OTR. Can you charge by the box? If you want to charge per piece, you can. But here's the problem where you come in per piece. You're going to have, it's a fluctuating business. See, you have to think smart. It's a fluctuating business. Now, per piece count is you're going to win on a per piece count in 3 weeks from now when it's Mother's Day, right? And you're going to win on a per piece count for Valentine's Day week, right? But what about all the other weeks in between? I'd rather get the higher end on the stop because here's the thing. A stop is a stop, right? A stop is a stop. And with flowers, you only have 2 peak times, Mother's Day and Valentine's Day. See, I know this because I've done these deliveries before. So if you focus on a per piece count, yeah, you're going to make money hand over fist on those 2 days, right? But then when the volume goes down, you're still going to be making those stops with a lot less volumes, but you're still going to be making the stops. People aren't going to be buying flowers like that all the time. Graduation, volume is going to increase a little bit. But then after graduation, the only flowers people are going into these local florists and buying for funerals. So your volume may increase during the week of Mother's Day. You may deliver 50 boxes, let's say, to each local florist that's on your route, right? Because it's Mother's Day, right? But then in the middle of July, when there's no holiday for people to buy flowers, you're only delivering flowers for funerals, right? But so the volume goes down, right? So now you went from 50 boxes that whole week to every florist on your route for Mother's Day to maybe 10 boxes or 5 boxes because they still got flowers chilling in the cooler from 2-3 days ago. You know, it's just a week that a lot of people didn't die. But guess what? If you charge per stop, whether it's 50 boxes or 1 box, I'm still getting my $40 for this stop. Whether it's Mother's Day or whether it's August, all right, I'm still getting my $40 for this stop. So to me, that's how I've always looked at it. I've always looked at, even with doing Office Depot, you know, Dynamics would always try to sell me, you sure you don't want to do the per piece? You don't want to do the per piece? No, I don't want to do the per piece because I got a guarantee where the ICs got per piece because pieces fluctuate. There were times where I had drivers come back really early. Man, why y'all back so early? Man, I only had 5 stops. But guess what? I still got my $300 guarantee. And back then, the piece was $1.75 a piece. I would have lost money. So whether the pieces are high or whether the pieces are low, I'm getting the guarantee. I'd rather have the guarantee. All right? Because pieces are going to fluctuate. It's the flower business. You got 2 main days, Valentine's Day and Mother's Day. Those are your 2 days where you're going to make money on the pieces. But other than that, the only thing you got is graduation, which ain't going to compare to Mother's Day and Valentine's Day, right? You got graduation. That's it. And maybe, graduation time. Prom, people getting corsets and stuff, but nothing like Mother's Day and Valentine's Day. So I would go per stop. So yeah, man, I know I was probably all over the place today. That's why I like to do a PowerPoint because I can see my outline and kind of go. But if anybody got questions, you can hit my DM. For furniture, $100 a stop. That's the industry standard. The industry standard for delivery for furniture is $100 to $125 a stop. All right. If your cost is exceeding $100 to $125 a stop, you're doing something wrong. All right. You should be paying at least $50 a stop labor, about 20 and 20 or 25 and 20. Obviously, driver more than the helper, 25-20, okay, or 25-25. I don't know. But 50% should be going to your labor. It shouldn't cost you that much in fuel to do furniture delivery, especially if you're doing it for a mom and pop, because a lot of their sales will be coming from that area. All right. And other than that, your fixed cost, right? Your other fixed costs, your truck, let's say you're paying off a truck, and let's say your note is $1,000 a month. All right. That's about $33 a day on the 30-day cycle. Let's say your insurance is $1,000. That's another $33 a day on a 30-day cycle. So let's say $66 and whatever other little fixed costs you got. You're local, so you don't have to have a log and all that other stuff. All right. Your tolls are going to be miscellaneous because you're local. You're not really hitting the toll road like that. So let's say you have $100 a day on average, whether your truck moves or doesn't move on fixed costs, right? $100 a day. So let's say you're running 10 stops a day and you charge the company $100 a stop. That's $1,000 a day. 500 of that is going to your labor, let's say, right, which is going to leave you with about 500. You got about $100 a day on annual fixed cost day to day, right? That's going to leave you about 400, and you're going to spend about $50 a day, maybe in fuel. Really, you're going to spend less. Most of the time when you're doing local delivery like this, strictly for business in that area, you can fill up once for the whole week, maybe twice. All right, maybe twice. I talked to one of my mentees that I coached last week, who was running HD Supply for TQL, which is a curbside final mile contract. He said, man, he was happy that he switched over from OTR to curbside final mile. He listened to me. He got that HD Supply contract with TQL, $650 a day, 5 days a week, right? He said, Mark, I barely got to fill up twice a week. Barely got to fill up twice a week. And that's on a wider range than something like this would be. Something like this would be a little bit more condensed. All right. So fuel, you're not going to spend no money on fuel. You're just not. It's just not going to, So you figure like after you add your labor at 50%, let's say your $100 in fixed costs, and if you want to add another $50 in fuel, right? You're walking away with somewhere between $300 to $400 a day. So you're going to make 30 to 40% easy. And that's it. $100 to $125 per stop for curbside final mile. For furniture. If you're doing the flowers, like a lot of people seem to be getting these flower contracts local, I would try to bid out at about $30 to $40 a stop. I would stay away from the per piece. Long distance, you're going to treat it like sort of kind of like the move. You're going to see how much it's going to cost you to run that route. So if they want you to go from, let's say, one place to another place and it's 250 miles, you know how much is it going to cost for me to get there and get back, my truck, right? How much is it going to cost me to get there and back in fuel, right? All your costs that it's going to cost you to do the job, you figure that out. You know what it's going to cost you to get from point A to point B and back. Add up all your costs, right? Once you figure out your cost, right? Okay, it's going to cost me $1,000 to deliver this load from point A to point B, which is 250 miles, and come back, right? Because I'm doing this direct, so I'm deadheading back. But you have to charge them for that. You're dealing directly with a customer. You got to get out of the mindset of dealing with a broker. Okay, I'm here now. I got to find another load. No, when you're dealing directly with a customer, you charge for your deadhead. That's the beautiful thing about this industry, or when you're dealing directly with people, you charge them for your time back. It's your time. You're charging them for your time. So whatever it's going to cost you to get from point A to point B, deliver whatever it is you got to deliver, and bring your butt back empty, you charge them for. Okay, it's going to cost me $1,000 round trip to do the delivery and come back. All right, so you know it's going to cost you $1,000 to run it, right? Boom. Then you decide, okay, now I have to put my profit on top of that. So on top of that $1,000, what do you want to put on top of it? 20%, 50%, 70%? That's all up to you. So that's where you go, revert back to what I taught you in the prior. You go back to your business plan, and then what you're going to do is you're going to do your competitive analysis. You got to look to see what the competition, the competitive rate is going for in your market. You have to think different than thinking about like how you're dealing when you're running OTR middle mile. You're in direct competition with other businesses like you that are dealing directly with a customer. You're doing business to business transaction. There is no middleman. There is no middleman. So you have to do a market analysis. You have to do a competitive analysis to know what people that are doing the same thing that you're doing in your market are charging. And then you set your price on top of that. All right, so boom. If it's going to cost you $1,000 to run that, what I would do is, this is trucking. So I would go with a 50%. I would put a 50% profit margin on top of it. That's what I would do. I would say, okay, boom, I'm going to charge them $1,500. You know what I'm saying? As you grow, you can charge more. I might do 100% markup. Might do $2,000, but then you don't want to scare the people off. So I'm going to revert you back to your competitive analysis. You got to see what the competitors are charging, because you might have some competitors out there that might have 5 trucks. So that competitor that has 5 trucks, he might say, you know what, I'm only going to put a 20% markup on mine. So it's going to cost me $1,000. Okay, I'm going to put 20% on top of that. I just need $200. Because guess what? I got this truck over here that's going to make me $1,000. That truck is going to make me $800. This truck is going to make me $350. But I want to get you as a customer. I want to get you as a customer. So it's costing me $1,000 all in, with my driver, right? Boom. All right, we're going to put a 20% margin on top of that, or 25%. All right, so it's going to cost you $1,250. Let's say 25%. It's going to cost you $1,250. All right, you may put 50% on top of yours, $1,500. So they're going to go with the guy that's going to charge $250 less. That's why you got to do your competitive analysis. All right, because you're setting the value for yourself. You could charge whatever you want, and when you're in this industry, when you're dealing directly with a business, there is no middleman. So the competition is the competition. All right, so that's who you're competing against. So you gotta do a competitive analysis. Now that information I can't give you because everybody is in different markets. Everybody's in different markets, so you kind of gotta go, with what the going rate is in your market and try to beat it. Going back to the example that I gave earlier, every moving season, at the beginning of the moving season, March, April, I call 5 companies. I call 2 Men in a Truck, right? I call New City Moving. I call The Professionals. I call Movetastic, and I call Movers. All right. These 4 companies are local moving companies, but they're like on the bigger end of local moving companies, right? The Professionals and New City, these are 2 local companies. They got about 80 trucks apiece. And then those other 2 companies. And then obviously 2 Men in the Truck is just a franchise standard that I kind of like to use to do my competitive market analysis on. And then I see what everybody's charging. I call each company, I set up a mock scenario for a move, right? Based on the type of business that we do the most of, right? So 1 bedroom, 2 bedroom, 3rd floor, the 3rd floor, first floor, the 1st floor, mock, right? To see what everybody's charging. And then I know, okay, am I going to keep my rates the same this year? Or do I have room to increase? And then obviously if I increase the labor rate as well. I just don't increase it so that the company can make more money. Ultimately, I want, everybody to get a percentage. So if we can increase because the market is saying we can increase, like this year, okay, boom. 2 Men in the Truck is charging $300 an hour for a basic move with 3 guys. It's not even the 3rd floor. So if I want to charge $200 an hour for 3 guys, I can, because there's $100 swing in between my company and 2 Men in the Truck. It's $100 swing, which is huge. A 4-hour move between, let's say, my company and their company. If they go with my company, I would save $400. And $200 for me, for 3 guys, is a lot, because when I first started back in the day, 3 guys was $100 an hour. So the labor rate has doubled. All right. We were charging $200 an hour 2-3 years ago as a premium for a 3rd floor. Now you can get $200 an hour for a 1 bedroom on the 1st floor. Going to a studio in a garden apartment, no stairs at all. $200 an hour. All right. And if you add up 25 an hour times 3, right? The company is making $125 an hour now off the labor. Trucks are paid for. $150 truck fee. Materials don't cost me nothing because I buy it by the bulk. I don't care about shrink wrap. I don't care about tape. I don't care about that stuff. It's good money, yeah, but that $125 an hour off the labor, that's where the money is made at. That's where the money is made at. And then the $150 truck fee, you do 3 moves, 3 1-bedroom moves in a day, you charge $150 for the truck fee, you just made $450 just because you have the truck. They're paying $150 an hour just for the use of the truck. Truck is paid for. So you just made $450 for the truck, right? And you're making $125 an hour for the labor. Let's say each move took 2 hours. So you just made $125 times 6 plus $450. That's over $1,000 a day. just by doing 1-bedrooms. If you can schedule 3 1-bedrooms a day, you can make $1,000 a day in the moving business. There you have it. There you have it. People are definitely moving a lot. They're moving a lot. Hey, Mark, what's your take on hooking up with a franchisee like 2 Minute Truck? Too expensive. Like, I mean, I built a moving company from a pickup truck. So without having to pay for a name and franchise fee, just hard work and word of mouth. Like I was saying at the earlier part of the live, moving is, word of mouth. A lot of people at one point, about 40% of my business was 40% of my business was word of mouth. 60% was repeat customers. I rarely paid for advertisement. I did Google ads here and there, but not much. A lot of my business was word of mouth. Word of mouth. Over the years, word of mouth. Like I said earlier, moving is a very personable business. You're going into people's homes. This is their private sanctuary. You're dealing with their private items, their panty drawers and things like that. It's a lot of weirdos out there. All right. It's a lot of weirdos out there. There's a lot of horror stories in moving. A lot, from, like I talked about earlier, holding people's stuff hostage, all type of stuff. So the thing is with moving, when people find a good mover, they keep them. They keep them. All right. And people ask for referrals from movers. People don't like taking a chance on a moving company that they haven't heard of, or they rather go with someone. Hey, yeah, why don't you use my movers? Yeah, I've used them 3 times. These guys are great. They don't waste time. And then another issue with movers is milking the clock. Moving is very expensive. $300 an hour, right? If you go look at moving reviews, a lot of the bad reviews are going to be because the move took too long or they broke something. It's going to be one of the two. Took too long or broke something. These guys were sluggish. They were slow. This was a 4-hour move and ended up taking them 8-9 hours. It happens all the time. Sometimes it happens because the customer may be the second or third customer of the day. If you're the third customer of the day, then yeah, you're going to get some tired guys. But then on the other flip coin, it could be a 9 a.m. move and you just got some, you got the third string. You didn't get the first string crew, a first string crew. You got a third string crew. So it happens, so people rather, go with someone that they got a referral from. I wouldn't pay a franchise. I wouldn't spend all that type of money. I wouldn't. You can build a moving business from scratch and become successful and not have to pay franchise fees. So no, I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't do it. I was so excited when T-Force sent me a contract, but it was for somebody with a CDL. I think they just saw a name and sent me the contract. Contact them back. To all the condos and apartment buildings, message board up. Put some business cards on the message boards near the elevator floor. Excuse me. Flowers can get messy with cleanup of your vehicles. Flowers definitely can get messy, especially if you have a tip over, box tips over, or something like that. But if it's a contract and it's going to pay you really, really well, get you a push broom and a dustpan. That's all I can say about that, man. Get you a push broom and a dustpan. So, do what you can best and delegate the rest. Great tip. The bidding is too low for me on Shipley. I can't go that low. I've never used Shipley. Shipley to me is like another form of U-Ship. It may be the same company. Just, I don't know. Because to me, the business model is the same. I did U-Ship one time back in like 2014, 2015. Probably was one of the worst experiences I ever had. The customers on UShip suck. Like the customers on UShip are like the worst customers. Like anybody that uses UShip, let me tell you something about UShip. Forget UShip and the business model. What makes UShip suck so bad is the people that go to UShip are looking for the dirt of the dirt of the dirtest lowest lowest scumball dirt low price that they can find. All right. So this is the type of consumer you're dealing with. All right. So when you get there, they're going to tell you, I'm telling you what UShip is. They're going to tell you the job is one thing in the description. When you get there, it's going to be something totally different. And you've already okayed it through the UShip platform. Now you got to do this job. I had one encounter with UShip. We took the job. The lady said it was one thing. The crew got there, it was another. We accepted the job for $300. When I tell you that job cost me more than $300 to do in labor, those guys were there 8 hours. That job was a job from hell. So you've been warned. You've been warned. Take it from Marky Mark. Forget UShip's business model. The people that go to UShip to put their jobs on there are looking for dirtball low prices. So this is the type of consumer you're dealing with. So if you go and deal with UShip, that's on you. It's on you. Shipley is probably the same because their business model is the same. So I wouldn't doubt that they'd be any different. And the competitors, let me tell you something too about UShip. The competitors on there are purposely bid low. I don't get why they do this. Like it's stupid. Like you got scumbag consumers and you got dirtball competitors. Just stay away from UShip and Shipley, all right? Fuel per diem hotel and calculate distance, right? Asthma rolling, what's good? Appreciate that. Yeah. It's 1,100 miles from Chicago to Atlanta. Yeah. I knew it was something like that, man. I didn't listen. I'm just going off the top of my head right now. Like I said, I'm sick. I didn't even prepare this. I wasn't even going to do the live, but hopefully y'all get what I was saying. I know Moving Hustle was in here. He kind of understands. I think Asthma Rolling does Moving. I know I was kind of jumping all over the place, but 2 men in a truck here in Denver are charging $175, $190 for 2 men. Yep. So, that's the going rate for 2 men, $170 to $190. It's about the same here, $175 to $200 here. So those are your competitive rates, right? So that's who you comparing. So if you are looking to get into the moving business, you can take my method. Call 2 men in the truck in your area and see what they're charging. 2 men, they're going to be charging somewhere between, let's say $160, depending on where you're at, to $200 an hour, right? Obviously, the bigger market, the more money. All right. You can charge way less than that starting out on Thumbtack and TaskRabbit, but use 2 men in the truck for your competitive analysis. You'll beat them every time. And then as they go up, you can slowly start to increase. In my city, it's $60 per hour per man, $250 fee in case the customer cancels. Truck fee at 4-hour move is $180 times 4 plus $250 cancellation. Truck fee, labor cost $20 per hour per man. That's $970. Yeah, so $20 an hour labor cost per man. That's cheap. That's not bad. It's not bad. It's like 3 times that here. But the this example he's given just further just reiterates what I'm saying as far as the move. And like, I know you guys hear me say all the time, like, you guys want to make the money, but I'm telling you, moving makes more money than middle mile, final mile, Amazon. And it's true, but you're going to do a lot of work. If you really want to make a lot of money, start moving. You'll make a lot of money. You will make a lot of money every day. And guess what? You don't have to factor it. You don't have to wait like in final mile every week to get paid. You don't have to do none of that. You go do the move. And this is if you're starting under the radar. All right, because most people start on the radar. I'm gonna keep it funky with y'all. I'm not gonna tell you to go out and start a licensed moving business. Is that morally the right thing you should do? Yeah, that's the right thing you should do. But do people do it that way? Hell no. Everybody starts under the radar for a plethora of reasons. One is to learn the industry. All right, because you don't want to start a licensed company, be dealing with all this high ass insurances and damaging people's stuff. You're going to damage people's stuff, at least do it under the radar and just pray, guys, in all hell that you don't get caught. But yeah, you want to make a lot of money. Start a moving company. Starting on Thumbtack, starting on TaskRabbit. Sign up for U-Haul Moving Helper, right? And make that money. Learn the industry, make a lot of money. All right, make a lot of money. And if you decide to go get licensed, go get licensed. But you're gonna see your money at the end of the day, right? That customer at the end of that move, as soon as that last item goes in, you're gonna swipe their credit card. Download Stripe, right? Get you a Stripe account, right? Or get you a Square account, right? And accept credit cards. Charge them the fee, whatever the processing fee is. If they don't swipe, if you punch it in manually, charge them that 3.4%. You can pass the with that, you can even pass the processing fee along for the credit card. I charge the customer 4% to swipe their card. By law, you could charge them up to 4%. And guess what? I charge them. Sure do. I'm not paying that. You know what I'm saying? Because some of those moves be thousands of dollars. All right, thousands of dollars. So that 4%, that's half somebody's pay for the day. I pass that 4% along. Yep, you swipe a credit card, and guess what? That's the only form I take. So they got to pay it either way. But by law, you can charge up to 4%. You can pass that processing fee up to 4% along to the customer. I know I could do better on my own with my own people. Okay. I've been planning out my company for a few months. I used to work with Bellhop. Okay. I'm familiar with Bellhop. The money was solid. Tips were great. Just demanded too much for me to get paid such a small percentage. So Bellhop. So I studied Bellhop when they first came into the market prior to the pandemic, because their business model at the time, with them being a startup, was unique, and I just didn't see how it was going to work. Obviously, the pandemic came in, and they had to switch up, right? So now with Bellhop, what they're doing now is I don't know if they're still buying their own trucks, because their whole thing was they're like a concierge moving company, right? But now what they're doing is they're providing the labor, right? And let's say you got a truck. So let's say Interstate Screw, you got your truck is sitting. So instead of them buying the truck, they're just sourcing the labor, right? So boom, Interstate Screw, you got a truck. So you can sign up to their platform. I'm Interstate Screw. I got a truck. My truck is available this day, this day, this day, this time, this time, this time. All right. Then they also have a platform where you sign up as a laborer. So now Interstate Screw, we need you Monday to be at 123 Main Street. All right. We're going to send 3 movers over there. They're going to meet you over there. Only thing we need you to do is drive your truck, park in front of 123 Main Street, open up the back door, pull out the ramp, or let the lift gate down. You have to supply the materials. Make sure your truck got 3 dozen blankets, a dolly, 2 hand dollies, 6 furniture dollies, whatever, straps, whatever your moving truck needs. Speed packs, everything a moving truck needs, you have to supply it. The equipment in the truck. These 3 guys are going to show up. They're going to load the truck. You could sit in your own truck and you're getting paid. You can sit there and wait for them to load. Once the truck gets loaded, you close it up. You drive to the drop-off across town. They'll drive their personal car. They'll meet you over there. You'll open the door. They'll unload it. So now they have the laborers getting paid for doing that. And then they got the independent owner operators getting paid for the use of their truck. So this wasn't their business model when they first started out. Their business model when they first started out was like a concierge moving company. So they'll come, They'll move you out, move you in, and I think they offer storage too. They'll, if you need your stuff stored, they'll come move your stuff out into their truck, drive their truck back to their storage facility, unload it, store your stuff, and then when you move to your new place, let's say 6 months later, they'll load your truck back up from their storage, drive it to your new place, and unload it. To me, I'm like, man, I don't know how that's gonna work because it's hard finding labor. The pandemic hit and they had to switch their business model up. But those startup companies, they're never gonna they're never in this type of industry with moving, man, you're not gonna get your work because they're not making the money. They're not even profitable. Bellhops is not even profitable yet. They're surviving off VC funding. They're surviving off venture capitalist funding and angel investors. And right now, the money that they're pumping, that they could be pumping into the people who work for them, like how you work for them, the movers, they're pumping it into marketing and advertising. They're spending all that money in marketing, advertising, and taking those losses trying to build that company. But I'm gonna be honest with you. I hope they make it, but I don't see that business model making it. I don't see it making it. I don't see it making it. I don't see it making it. But man, good luck to you. I mean, the moving business, man, so you're better off just on your own. If you know the moving business, man, all it takes is some equipment, another helper, and a rental truck. That's another thing too. Like the rental trucks, like what people paying those high rates for rental trucks for middle mile, right? Okay, listen, I said it before, like Kirby said, history is best qualified when it's documented. I said this months ago. The only way I'm paying $1,500, $1,000, $1,200 a week for a 26-foot box truck, the only way I would do it is if I was renting it for a moving company. Because for a moving company, I don't care. $1,200, a 3-bedroom move. If I got 4 3-bedroom moves lined up for the week, the first 4 hours of the first 4 hours of the first 3-bedroom move is gonna cover the truck for the week. The first 4 hours. Right? Because you're getting paid by the hour. $200, $300, $400 an hour, depending on how many men. Plus the truck fee. A 26-foot box truck, you're not doing nothing less than a 3-bedroom move. And in peak moving season, you could have one of those 7 days a week. That's a 1-day move. You get the right 3-bedroom or the right 4-bedroom, that's an easy 8 to 12 hour day. Now do the math. 300 times 12 hours. That's $3,600 right there just off the labor. That's $3,600 right there just off the labor. The guy who owns my barbershop, he just moved. He didn't use us because he called last minute. Right? So he ended up having to go with another company that he booked last minute, and they did a 5 o'clock move, which I would never do. But they were thirsty for the money, right? And they were booked out too, and they came at 5 o'clock. And when he called me, like, man, I found a company and said they'll be at 5. I'm like, man, you got a 3-bedroom house. 5 o'clock too late. They're going to be tired. He said, man, I hope not. I said, listen, Craig, I've been doing this a long time. You waited too late. We would have did the move. Any moving company that's booking you for 5 o'clock, they had at least 1 or 2 moves prior to you. They're going to be tired. That move going to be a disaster. Sure enough, it was a disaster. They got there at 5. That move didn't finish till after midnight. They broke his TV. It was a few other little hiccups. The move was $5,000. This is a local move. They sent 6 guys. I forgot what he paid per hour, but clearly it was over $300 an hour. It was over $400, about 4 something an hour. And they got there at 5, and it ended after midnight. I think he said it ended like 1:30 in the morning. Move was $5,000. So yeah, that's where the money at, man. Let me see. Where's MD? I saw MD. MD, what y'all trying to MD? Thinking about transferring over into moving. Where I see MD, do some research before you jump in. You don't even need a truck, shrink wrap, dollies, moving blankets, straps, boxes, wardrobe boxes, good crew, water, health, snacks. Yep, that's pretty much it. Like he said, you can just do a labor only moving company. You don't even need a truck and still charge. I see some guys on moving helper, U-Haul moving helper charging $2 something an hour just for labor, $200 something an hour just for labor. So you don't even need a truck, just as long as you got the equipment, shrink wrap, tape, dollies, blankets, straps, all the equipment that would be on the truck. You could just do labor only, and then with labor only, you don't have to get the you don't have to go through the process of starting a moving company. Starting a moving company is difficult. It's a lot more difficult than starting a trucking company, believe it or not. Outside of the rates being higher, I'll tell you what it takes to start a moving company here in Illinois. All right, so to start a moving company here in Illinois, the first thing you need to do, you need to go to the Illinois Commerce Commission website and apply, right? The application is $900. Last I checked, I haven't done it in a long time. When I did, it was $900. It still may be $900 or maybe more. It was $900, right? $900 for the application. Just for the application, just to apply, right? Once you submit your application, you submit it to the Illinois Commerce Commission. From there, you wait for your notice. You're going to get notice that you have a hearing date, right? Once you get your hearing date, okay, when I say hearing date, yes, a hearing date. To become a licensed mover in the state of Illinois, you have to go in front of a judge. So once you apply, they're going to give you a hearing date. You get your hearing date. All right, once you get your hearing date, you have to pay to put your hearing date in the state newspaper. So you have to advertise your hearing date. Mark the Mentor started a new moving company, Mark's Moving and Storage. My hearing date is April 24th, Monday, April 24th at 9 a.m. It's either going to be here in Des Plaines, Illinois, or in Springfield, wherever. It's usually in Des Plaines. At 9 a.m. In room 106 with Judge Lubin, whatever. Right? Now, the purpose for that is because once you put it in the state paper, anybody can show up to that hearing and object for any reason. Does it happen? I've heard of it happen, but does it happen most of the time? No. All right, so you got to pay to put it in the state paper. You go to your hearing date, right? So the purpose of the hearing date is so that the judge can see that the person that's applying to be a licensed mover is willing, fit, and capable of running a moving company, right? They want to take a look at you, make sure that you're not a creep or whatever. Because like I said before, you're dealing with people's personal possessions. You're dealing with people's life. People's lives are into their house. Are in their house. You know, you never know what you may be moving in somebody's house. All right. So it's a personal job. So once you go in front of the judge, and let's say the judge says, okay, Mr. Mark the Mentor, you're capable. I think you're capable of running a licensed moving company here in the state of Illinois. I'm going to grant you a 1-year permit. You don't even get your license. You get a permit, a 1-year permit. All right. So we're going to give you this 1-year permit. And within this year, we're going to monitor you, you know, and then after the year, obviously, you got to go back in front of the judge, right? So within that year, you can't really do no messing up. All right. You got to walk a smooth line or whatever the saying is. You can't get in no trouble. You can't get no citations. You got to do everything by the book, right? Because you got to go back in front of that judge in a year. So when you go back in front of that judge in a year, they're going to look at your record to see if you had any citations, to see if you had any outstanding citations that you didn't pay. If you did had any citations, see what they were for. Obviously, if it was for something like holding people's furniture hostage, they're not going to grant you the license, right? If it was something for, like, let's say damage and the customer contacted the Illinois Commerce Commission to mediate, whatever the damage was, then you know that they're not going to really hold it against you because that kind of happens. But holding people's stuff hostage and all that stuff, you're not going to get a license. So after that year, you go back. If everything is on the up and up, then they'll grant you the license. That's the process to get licensed here. I think it's a similar process in Georgia because I had somebody booked a coaching session a few months ago that wanted to start a moving company, and they were having a hard time understanding it. So they paid me to kind of walk them through it and actually set it up for them in Georgia. And so I had to research the Georgia, area, and it was a similar setup. Not as strenuous as here, but there was some similarities as far as the licensing is concerned. Texas is a little bit difficult. New York is a little difficult. But it all depends on your state. So state, moving is state and federally regulated. So it's not easy like, starting a trucking company. You got to go in front of a judge and all types of crazy stuff. Another issue was driving. Since you're a contractor, they didn't really supply anything but a shirt and a truck with equipment. I ended up driving from the south side to the north side of Houston. So you said they didn't supply anything but a shirt and the truck with equipment. Well, shoot, that's pretty much all you need. What else was you looking for? As long as you got the truck, the equipment to do the move, and they gave you a uniform shirt. I mean, I'm trying to think what else. If you're talking about like water or something, shoot. Ain't no moving company going to pay you that. Now, I've always put coolers on my trucks, and in the summertime, I'll go buy cases of water. That's not something I was doing at first. That's something that I ended up doing years later because, you got to listen to your workers, man. Your workers going to speak. Man, Mark, we need some water on these trucks. Anything they can get that they don't have to stop at the gas station and pay for, they're going to try to get it up out of you. That's not something I'm going to argue. I'm not going to argue water, all right? These guys are working in 90-degree weather, going up 3 flights of stairs, doing strenuous work. I'm not going to argue. Certain battles, and that's another thing with being a boss. You got to know how to pick and choose your battles. Some of your battles, you just going to give in. Person say, man, they want water. These people making me a lot of money. And I know the job. I know what the job entails. Listen, guess where I was at? Once they all ganged up on me that day, I never forget it. Guess where I was at? I didn't say nothing. I just did the look at my desk. They all, man, it was one of them hot days. They came back all soaking wet. Everybody, they all, kind of called each other and said, all right, this is what we're going to do. So I just sat there at the desk like this, and I didn't say nothing. But when I left the office that day, I went and got a cooler for every truck. I went to Walmart, got a cooler for every truck. I bought cases of waters, cases of Gatorade, and once I started, I had to keep it going. The only thing that changed was I stopped buying the Gatorade and just kept buying water. I'm not finna be buying Gatorade. You ain't gonna get your choice now. You ain't gonna have water, and then because what happened was, man, why you get all red? Why you ain't getting no grapes? Or why you didn't get the green out? Hey, man, listen, I ain't trying to have all that. So you just getting water from here on out. All right. So cases of water. So that's something that you got to do if you're going to run a moving company, is make sure you got the gas, cases of waters, you got coolers on the truck. And that's an hour drive, maybe 2 with traffic. Sounds legit, Sheridan. That's what MD. Sounds legit. But I really appreciate your videos. They're helping me put everything into perspective. I already know how to move efficient because of my bellhop experience. I just wasn't sure in the business. And it's simple, man. Starting a moving business is simple. The actual, once you get the truck, man, everything else falls in line. The licensing can be a little bit difficult for moving versus like regular middle mile, final mile because of the nature of the business. But man, if you know how to move, man, then man, it shouldn't be a hard task getting up and going. You can literally sit at a coffee shop with a cell phone and laptop and run multiple crews a day. Definitely can. Definitely can. When I finally came off the truck, I literally was sitting in the kitchen on the laptop and run 3 crews a day. 3 crews a day with a laptop. Because the thing with moving is once the jobs are booked, you got 3 trucks, right? And let's say each truck got 3 jobs a day. Once they get to their job, they send you a text. That's the punch in time. Truck 1, 9:20. Start time, 9:20. However long that move takes, you're not going to hear from that crew until it's time for them to punch out. And you take that payment. You know what I'm saying? If you hear from them during the move, it's usually not good news. You know what I'm saying? But you only going to hear from them when they send you a text to punch in. And this is like if you're under the radar, right? And they call you to cash out. You know what I'm saying? You're taking the credit card over the phone. All right? A lot of big moving companies, they allow their movers to take the payments. I never allowed my movers to take the payments. So payments was always on a call basis. They punch the clock, right? And then at the end of the move, they have to call it in, and we would do the credit card over the phone from the office, all right? That way you don't have to worry about people stealing your money. That way you don't have to worry about the mover stealing time either, from you, the company, or from the customer. But other than that, you really don't hear from them. They on the move, they working. So, you know, yeah, man, running the moving cruises, once the infrastructure gets set up and it gets going, it's simple. That was all we needed. My issue was more so the Houston market is very demanding. They could have figured a carpool service, in my opinion, with guys at least the option to ride. Right. So yeah, you got to meet the truck at job to job. But if they paid you as an independent contractor, then I kind of understand that's kind of is on you. But if you're an employee, then yeah, I get what you're saying. But that goes back to me reiterate why I don't think their business model is gonna. I don't think Bellhop is gonna be around too much longer. I'm just being honest with you. For me being in the moving business and just knowing the ins and the outs of it, that the way the idea of this concierge moving service, moving is a get down gritty business with not necessarily a high turnover, but you have to have the right people. It's not a high turnover. What I want to say is hard to find the right people. They're having a hard time right now finding and keeping people. They would have just been better off just starting a moving company. That niche concierge thing, to me, that's stupid. Like, just be a moving company. But I think they want to cut the cost. They don't want to consume the cost of what a traditional moving company would have to pay. They're trying to be like this tech startup concierge moving company. I just don't see it working too much longer, man. I really don't. I don't. Not with the competition they have for mom and pop moving companies, and not with the competition that's out there with under the radar moving companies. Listen, it's a lot of immigrants, man. It's a lot of immigrants. I see them all the time. They go rent a truck. They save up money. They got their own truck. These are the guys that you see on Craigslist, and these are the guys you see on Thumbtack charging $85 an hour and $75 an hour. You're not going to beat those guys. That concierge moving business model, it hasn't worked. It's still not working, and it's not gonna work. It's not gonna work. It's not gonna work, man. They're going to probably, they're not gonna make it. Mark my words. They're not gonna make it. It's just not a good business model. Summers are 90 degrees on a regular. The human out here, they just didn't hear us out when it came to. Now I feel you. Houston is hot. A lot hotter than Chicago. Feed your workers. The troops are on as loyal as the meal. Keep the fed hydrated. So yeah, so it's okay to treat them to food. I would, treat my employees to lunch here and there, but I definitely, kept water on deck and then pay for ice for the cooler every day. So the coolers every day. How come the salaries of appliance final mile contracts are different from each other? How could you maximize the revenue you can make? The contracts vary depending on the market, right? And depending on the contract. So the way it works is, okay, so if you notice like Home Depot, for instance, there's multiple logistics companies that have that contract across the country, right? Not they don't put all their eggs in one basket, right? Different third party logistics companies have that contract in different regions. In some regions, you have multiple companies running that same contract, right? The way it works is how you get paid determined by how they get paid. These 3PLs are in competition against each other. When they're bidding on these contracts, all right? One of the so the lower they bid, let me say it like this: the lower they bid, right, the less money they have to pay you, right? Some of these companies bid out high. Some of these companies probably don't have to bid at all. You know what I'm saying? They just have the contract, right? But like a company like Select Express, for instance, they've always been known for always bidding low. That's why they have so many like small retail contracts, right? And that's why their pay scale to the contractor is low, because they bid extremely low. They bid extremely low. So the reason why the price varies depending on market, but more importantly for this conversation that we're having right now, between 3PL to 3PL, it all determines on what the 3PL bidding on the contract, right? If they bid out, let's say if JB Hunt outbid UST for lows in a certain region, obviously, right? They bid them out at a lower rate, depending on what the percentage was that they beat them by. That lower rate is going to be passed on to the independent contractor. They're going to pay them a lower rate because they have a less margin to deal with, right, on the pay scale. So that's how it works, man. And that's why you may see JB Hunt, let's say, having lows in this market, and UST having lows in this market, and let's say JB Hunt is paying $800 a route, and UST is paying $600. You know what I'm saying? It's all determined by what the third party logistics company bid. Shout out to Miss Red Nose Pit. Ain't been in the building in a minute, but shout out to you. Thanks for checking in. Definitely Bellhop Management didn't mind firing good workers. It was like we were easily replaceable to them. But all the work just falls back on the teams in your market. I could see if it was like Uber or DoorDash, but this shit was actually work. Yeah, moving is work, man. You ain't gotta tell me. It's work, you know. But the thing with moving is every moving company is always looking for good qualified movers. So based off you telling me that, that's another reason I know they're not gonna work. You know what I'm saying? Because if they're willing to get rid of good movers are hard to come by. So you can't, those guys that started Bellhop are Silicon Valley tech guys. They're not movers. Like the guy who started Dolly. He's from here. Dolly started here. He's not a mover. And that's why Dolly hasn't, gone to where it should go to. Like Thumbtack came and some other apps have come after Dolly and surpassed it, because this guy, he's not a mover. He doesn't understand what movers have to deal with, and movers gotta go through to understand how to create an app that best suits the consumer and also benefits the mover. I was on a move 2 years ago. We were moving this guy out of a third floor, and he was selling his sofa. So he sold the sofa on Facebook Marketplace, and the guy showed up to buy the sofa while we were moving him out. And I'm like, man, who are you move? I'm like, how you gonna move this sofa? It's just you? He's like, no, I hired somebody off of Dolly. So it's a day, it was raining. I see this guy pull up in this raggedy old pickup truck, and he hops out. So I'm like, man, this dude ain't finna move this sofa down 3 flights of stairs by himself. The dude who's buying the sofa, like, now I'm gonna help him. Now this is it's a reclining sofa, so it has the frame at the bottom. It's got the three pieces. You got to attach it, but it's heavy, and you got to know how to get under the bottom. You got to know where to unscrew the frame and take the three pieces apart. But it's still a heavy sofa, and it's on the third floor, so it takes some maneuvering. I'm looking at this guy like, dude, you ain't finna carry it. I could size this dude up like, you ain't about this life. You ain't about this life. I want to see this. So the dude gets out. He comes up. He looks at the sofa. He said, oh, hell no. So the dude was behind the couch. He's like, what's up? He was like, man, I ain't moving this. He said, man, when you went on Dolly, you selected first floor. All right, I don't do third floors. You selected first floor. This is a reclining sofa. I ain't lifting this heavy thing. It's too much work. And he walked off. And he said, not for $107, I ain't. So that's going back to what I'm saying. Like, the way Dolly is set up, it matches a consumer with a person, a service provider that's doing the work, right? But these predetermined options they have, there's a lot of variables that are missing from these predetermined options, that when a consumer is looking for like this situation to move this sofa, like there were so many variables that the app didn't provide the consumer. There were so many variables that the app doesn't provide the consumer to select, so that the actual service provider can actually get the correct scope of the job. So then what happens is, when the service provider shows up to the job, the scope of the job that he's seeing within the app is, there's a lot more variables to the job, because these variables are not they're not options on the app that the consumer can select. So, and then ultimately they want to drive the price down to get the consumers to utilize the app, and then that's giving the service providers less pay, and then on top of that they're getting even less pay because the app is taking 20%. I feel like, me knowing the industry, if I were to do an app, the consumer got to pay and the service provider has to get paid, right? And we'll take a very small portion. It doesn't have to be 20%. It could be 5%, it could be 7%. And what we'll do is, if we got to make money by creating some type of subscription-based model where we're getting a residual membership or subscription fee from the consumer to make up for where we're losing to pass those job price points, to pass most of that money along to the service provider, then so be it. I think a lot of these apps don't understand that, without the service provider, they don't have an app. But in this job specific, this is very labor intensive, and these service providers need to get paid. So a lot of these tech guys don't understand this because they never done moving. They're tech guys. They're not movers. Hey, Mark, have you ever thought about developing an app? You have so much deep knowledge in the movie business. I developed 2 apps and they both failed. I developed 2 apps in 2019. I've talked about it before. Spent a lot of money on them. They failed. They weren't in the moving industry. I have thought about developing apps. I feel like I could do a way better version of Dolly. I feel like I could do a way better version of Thumbtack. And I've thought about it off and on for the past 7 or 8 years, to be honest with you. I actually thought about it in 2015, or 2015. I just haven't moved on it. Not saying I wouldn't, but this is something that if I did do it, I wouldn't want to do it alone. I would want to split the risk with at least another person or two, because I wouldn't want to consume myself fully into not the financial aspect of it, but the building of it. I would want to split those risks with at least another person or two. So this is something that I would be willing to do. I just haven't come across anybody that is tech savvy, a little tech savvy, and a lot of moving or or a box truck, let's say, savvy, moving savvy, specifically gig based savvy, pertaining around trucks enough that I'd be willing to invest with. It's not something that I'm going to do by myself. This type of investment would require a partner, but I'm just not going to take any partner. If some random dope boy came to me and said, man, Mark, I'm going to give you $250,000, go handle your business with this app, I would not take that money, right? Because that money is not getting me what I need in a partner. What I need in a partner is another brain. I need somebody to brainstorm with, bounce ideas off with, go to the drawing board with, split the risk with, that building risk. The money is really not really a big issue. You know what I'm saying? I need a partner to brainstorm, because even though I know a lot, I don't know everything. You know what I'm saying? So there's different components that I would want to sit at the round table with somebody with, where we can bounce ideas back and forth off each other, and we could take the best from me, the best from that person, or the best from those two people, and build something where I know that once it went live on Google Play Store, the App Store, in that specific niche what we be launching, it would go to number one. All right. So yeah, if I ever come across the right partners that are a little tech savvy and moving savvy, trucking savvy, then I would do it. But it's not something that I'm looking to do by myself. I can't do it by myself. How do you price when it comes to employees? And what business? Moving, you, like I said earlier, you can charge that going rate right now. And see, if you're starting a moving business, because you're a novice and you don't really know the business, you can't really charge a premium. I say charge $50 a man. All right, $50 a man. So a two-man job would be $100 an hour to the consumer. You're charging $50 a man. If you're on the truck, you're paying your helper $25 an hour, right? So you're making $75 an hour. If you're not on the truck, you're paying, let's say, your helper 20, your driver 25, your helper 20. All right, or you're paying your driver 30 and your helper 25, whatever the scenario is. Let's say you're paying 20. Well, you can't pay your helper and your driver the same thing. So let's say you're paying your driver 25 and your helper 20. You're paying $45 an hour in labor, right? So you're making $55 an hour. Your company's making $55 an hour in profit. So the average rate starting off is about $50 a man. All right. Then if it's a 3-man, you charge $150. That's how you would charge. What's your take on ChatGPT or the whole AI movement? I think it's dangerous. I'm starting to see it different than when I was talking about it a few months ago. If they don't, figure out some things and get a hold of it, then that's going to be the next big tool scammers use. That's going to be the next best tool that scammers are going to use. They've already been here in Chicago. No, they didn't use AI for that. But I heard something on the news or somewhere I was listening to where somebody created an AI and it called somebody and it really sounded like the son. They called the grandmother and they swindled the grandmother. She sent the money or something crazy like that, man. It's just to the point where, the technology is moving too fast to the point if they don't get a hold of it, this is going to be a scammer's best friend. Scammers are going to really have their way with this technology. I mean, just by listening to a person for just a few seconds, they can learn, they can mimic, the right coder can mimic your voice, mimic different mannerisms in your voice, how you talk, emotions, know when you'll laugh at a specific joke or know when you'll, know when I'll say you tweaking, shit like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, the technology is really, really advanced. And right now I see it, a few months ago, I thought, I only saw the good in it, but now, I'm seeing it being used, for more bad than actual good, and not bad all the way to just like scammers. Like I actually read something on the news where I heard something in the news or read it in the news last week where someone wrote their final term paper all using chat GPT. They like plagiarized the whole paper. Chat GPT wrote the whole thing for them. So even bad to that point because now you got people are being just completely lazy, which I mentioned that, but I'm more concerned about just the scam aspect of chat GPT and AI. I think it's gonna really be bad for like the youth because it's just gonna make them more lazier, and because of that, it's gonna make them more stupider. Um, um, and then as far as AI, just they gotta get control of it, and because there's more people doing bad with it right now than it is good. Uh, any tips when customers want us to move a piano, and do you also change extra? Yeah, so I don't touch pianos no more. But yeah, you charge a lot extra. When I was touring pianos, I stopped doing pianos in 2021. And if you call, the only thing we did was uprights. I don't do baby grands, didn't do grand pianos, only uprights. And we didn't even do player uprights, different types of uprights. Player upright is heavier than a regular upright. So we only did uprights, and for me to even consider doing your piano, the rate started at 500. I don't care if you needed it moved from your living room to your dining room. Piano 500. That's the starting rate, and it goes up from there. People want pianos on third floors. People want pianos in basements. The reason why I stopped doing pianos is because every time we do a piano, somebody would get injured. It's just it's a heavy piece of. It's the heaviest, most delicate piece of equipment and most expensive that you could move to me. And then with like an upright piano, it has the piano, the bass, all right, and then it has those two front legs which are really really thin. And the way that piano, if it tilts or you set it down wrong, or those legs they out of there. They out of there. I mean, if you want to do pianos, I would probably start at 500. That would be my starting price, and then based on the scope of the move, I would go up from there. If it's going upstairs, how many stairs I would charge. Going downstairs, I would charge the distance. I would charge. Because guess what? With a piano, if it's got to get moved, it's got to get moved. And guess what? They're not going to do it themselves. And if they calling you, that means they don't want to call the piano and safe movers. Because there are moving companies that all they move are pianos and safes. That's it. But they charge a hell of a lot of money. A hell of a lot of money. And if they're not calling those guys, that means, you could pretty much charge them whatever you want, because you ain't going to charge them what they going to charge them. They not coming out for less than $1,000. Because when they come out, they breaking the piano down. See, that's another thing. I never learned how to break a piano down. So the most we took off an upright was the front legs. We'll stand it up on the side, but you really can't do that because of the keys. So we'll just come wrap the whole thing up. We'll throw the shoulder straps under it, set the bass on there, throw the shoulder straps on, and go. I didn't touch pianos that had to go upstairs or downstairs. It had to be from flat surface to flat surface. I stopped doing stairs with pianos once somebody got hurt. So, yeah. Safes is a different story. We'll do safes, gun safes, money safes, we'll do safes. But pianos, nah. Right. See, pianos, you gotta have the right equipment, and like Sheridan said, like, you can't have put nobody on a piano, one, that's not skilled, and two, is not strong. You can put somebody who's half-ass strong, but it's good using the right equipment, right? With a piano, you can't put a half-ass person on a piano. Even with carrying a piano on a flat surface, let's say they just want to move from one room to another room, and you just got to use the shoulder straps for that, man. Like, you got to be able to have that core strength. Your shoulders have to be strong, right? Your legs got to be strong. You can't have weak knees. You got to have a strong core, strong knees, strong legs, and a strong shoulder. Because all that weight is sitting on the strap, but it's yanking down on your shoulders too. And you gotta be planted. You gotta be planted, man. Going upstairs is a whole different ball game. You gotta stand that piano up. All right, you gotta stand that piano up, and you gotta keep going with it. And you have to use the straps. Because here's the thing: if them straps ain't strapped right, and you start ascending up them stairs, and them straps ain't right, somebody gonna get hurt. Somebody gonna get hurt. So, pianos is, man, if you don't know what you're doing, stay away from them. I'm telling you. By the grace of God, I never had no major issues, like as far as damage or dropping, just injuries. And not injuries due to the job would get done safely, but all that weight, on somebody's shoulder, they back, they had to take a week off, stuff like that. So that's why I said, every time we did pianos, it was just always something. So I don't do them no more. Yeah, DeWalt, shit. If a person offered me $750 to move a piano right now, I wouldn't take it. Me personally, I'm not taking it. I'm straight. Them pianos, I personally can't do it. Now, if I had some guys that I just knew could do it, that I knew was killers, then yeah. But me, my knees can't do it no more. My knees ain't. You know what I'm saying? My upper body, yeah, but my knees can't handle that shit no more. All right, man. I think I'm gonna get out of here, man. I just been running off at the mouth. I appreciate everybody for coming in. I know this probably wasn't one of my better lives because I'm under the weather, but hopefully through all the mumbo jumbo and I know I jumped around a few times and kind of jumped off topic a few times, but just bear with me. Now tomorrow night, oh man, what's the name of our show on Monday night? This is how sick I can't even think of the damn name of the damn show, and I created the show. What's the name of that show? The Wiseman. Tomorrow's show, I'm gonna try to do it. I'm gonna talk to Kirk in the morning. We're gonna put some topics together. Hopefully I feel better. You know what I'm saying? If I don't feel better tomorrow, we may push it back a day or two. But just keep your notifications on. And if you see the thumbnail pop up, then we're gonna do it. I talked to him briefly. I hadn't talked to him since Friday. He called me. I called him back. Then he had to jump on his show. So I'm gonna talk to him in the morning. We could throw a show together. Then, like I said, you'll see it up. Keep your notifications on. If not, we will do a show this week. It just may be postponed a day or two. Other than that, I appreciate y'all for sticking out, man. I'm burning up, man. I'm finna go drink this NyQuil and go to bed, man. So we do a show tomorrow. I'll see y'all tomorrow, man. I'm out.